Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, I apologise about that. And also, if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well, if there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it cannot be helped, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision 2022 related video here on my channel, and it's time for a video that I have been planning for ages, and now I am finally sitting down and recording it for you. It is a 10 great songs of the 2022 national final season. Now, I want to make it clear right from the start here, these are not my 10 favourite national final tracks of the past couple of months. They're not even necessarily my personal winners of certain national finals. These are just 10 songs that I really enjoy, and I think they deserve a bit more love, maybe a bit more attention, and hopefully these are songs that will have some longevity to them as well. And what I mean by that is the fact that we get so many national final songs pretty much every year, it is inevitable that so many of them will be forgotten about very quickly. Not many of them really live long in the memory. So I'm hoping that these 10 that I've selected here do have a bit of longevity about them. As always, let me know your thoughts. Feel free to leave your own 10 great national final tracks of the season in the comments below. I will be interested to see which ones you pick out, and if they are very underrated as well, in my opinion. And there are links in the description, as always, to my other social media pages, which you can look at in your own time if you so wish. So, with that being said, I've got the list here in front of me. It's back to front. I looked at every single national final track of the season, and I whittled down the list more and more and more to finally end up with these 10. It could easily have been a 20 great national final songs of the season, a 50 great national final songs of the season list. But instead, I've just opted for 10 here. I did have a few self-imposed rules. I didn't want more than one song per country, and I really didn't want to just go straight for a song that really stood out to me upon first listen, or ended up being my personal winner of a national final, as I said a moment ago. So, I just want to give some honourable mentions first, and before I do that, I'm just going to make sure I'm sitting a bit more comfortably here, because I'm a little bit all over the place at the moment. That's better. So, Latvia, I considered Can't Get You Out of My Head by Patrick Peterson, which is this very relaxed, very casual sort of song. I thought it was probably going to end up a contender to win, didn't even make the final, which shows what I know, but I think that's a pretty good national final track. From Lithuania, Call Me From the Cold by Ruta Loop, which I think finished 4th or 5th in the end. When I originally heard this several months ago, I thought, okay, that's probably going to win here, she's been involved before. This is a very minimal, beautiful, sparse instrumentation sort of track. Could do very well, and it did do very well. It just didn't win. Then we have from Moldova, Layla by Katie Rain, which could easily have done well at Eurovision, I think, if everything had come together. You know, if the staging had been on the money, if the vocals had been really strong too, if there'd been a fair amount of promotion as well, all of that stuff. This could have done quite well at Eurovision. However, the live performance maybe wasn't brilliant. Plus, the national final itself in Moldova wasn't exactly the slickest we've ever seen. If it had been on a much grander scale, maybe this would have worked better. As such, it didn't make the cut for Eurovision, but it's made my little list of honourable mentions. From Ukraine, Girls by Roxolana. Really liked this from the first time I heard it. A little bit sassy, a little bit cool, a little bit of choreography as well. Really nice. Would have been a very worthy Ukrainian entry. From Norway, I did look at a few, notably Made of Glass by Sophie Fjeldang, and also Death of Us by Elsie Bay. But then I thought, well, these two songs, they're fine, but we've heard a lot of things like those tracks before, perhaps. Whereas, the honourable mention I've got here, Hammer of Thor by Udo Gondrosen, this is maybe a little bit rarer in terms of getting a song like this. And the reason it's on this list of honourable mentions is purely because it's so epic, it's so grand, it's so overblown, but really enjoyable to watch and listen to, I would say. I did look at many songs from Festival de Canção, Portugal's collection of tracks for this year, and I looked at Milhanas, FF, Aurea, Syro, all ballads, all very nice, all great vocals, but in the end I went for something else, which I'll mention in just a moment. From Finland, Thank God I'm an Atheist by Olivera, and also Hurricane by Cyan Kicks. One is this great rock effort with very interesting staging. Could have been a bit more energetic on the night of UMK, but there we are. And then Olivera with Thank God I'm an Atheist. Again, very intimate, this one, and very raw, and with a very interesting message behind it. Could have easily gone with that. From Israel, Marionette by Inbar Bibi. Very nice, great vocalist, not much more to say. From Malta, Ritmu by Aiden in Maltese. And the reason it's on this list is because nobody was really raving about the Maltese selection. But then, as it got closer, a lot of people really started loving this particular track. And in all honesty, maybe it should have won. From Serbia, Muskarčina by Sarah Joe. Very striking, very different, would have been a great entry. And also Zorya by Zorya, which is this sort of epic, soaring track, which finished third in the end. From the Czech Republic, Judy and Jezinki, which was one of the earliest national final tracks of the season that started gaining quite a lot of buzz. This very haunting, otherworldly sort of number, that in the end finished fourth, I think. I considered a few other songs from Ace de Laul. I looked at Laululin, Franz Tikapu, and Trinitoya, lovely ballad. Didn't love the live performance, but still a great track. Little Girl by Marilyn Malk, which is my personal favourite of the Estonian selection, but didn't make the final, sadly. And also both songs by Shearer, Underwater, I believe it is, and Golden Shores, which was performed with the group Per Mud. I considered both of them, but I went for something else. Poland, Paranoia by Daria. That would have been an excellent track at Eurovision. Arguably better than Christian Ochman. Let me know your thoughts on that. But yeah, a very good pop song. Would have been great. From Romania, I considered Do Svidania by Aris, which didn't even make the final. Regret by Jessie, which was knocked out early, but it's quite a contemporary offering and would have done quite well at the contest as well had it made that far. And also One Night by Gabriel Basco, which did make the final. I looked at a few songs from Melfest. Lick Lick Sloot by Lancelot, a lovely ballad, although we have heard things like that in the past. Browsing Collection, Face in the Crowd, a pretty good, energetic rock-type number. And also Sindom Day by Malin Kristin, which has grown on me quite a lot since Melfest finished. I looked at Ovunque Sarai by Irama in Sanremo, and also one or two songs from Benidorm Fest too. But now, finally, 8 minutes in, the 10 great national final songs of the season. And I'll do this in the order I've got them here in front of me. So first is from Croatia. So let me load up the page here just to make sure I'm saying everything correctly. Croatia's selection was Dora. It was on February the 19th. The winner was Mia Dimcic, but the song I've gone with is the song that finished third. 81 points, second with the jury, and third with the public, well behind the other two above her. This is Forgive Me Oprosti by Mia Negovetić. And the music and lyrics here, because I do want to shout out the songwriters as well. Andrea Stone Johansson, Dennis Jam, Laurel Barker, and Mia Negovetić. Now, Mia's been involved many times for Croatia. She's 19 from Rijeka. She won Zvjezdice, which is a television show in Croatia many years ago. She's been involved in Dora so many times and just hasn't quite made it to the winning line yet. Maybe in the near future. This is my personal favourite of Dora, and I know I said earlier that I wasn't just going to pick my national final favourites, but this one has always stood out to me. It really does sound as though it's from the Eurovision movie. It has a touch of the Husavik about it, absolutely. And I wasn't such a huge fan of the live performance, but this would have done very well at Eurovision, I think. Guilty Pleasure might not qualify. Forgive Me Oprosti might not have qualified had it made it to Turin, but I think it would have been arguably a bit more competitive. I mean, it really has got that movie, slightly epic, dreamy feel to it. Great vocals, it builds up nicely, it's very sort of Disney princess stuff. And there would have been a lot of people really enjoying this had it gone to Eurovision. Sadly, Mia finished third, and I'm sure she'll keep trying to represent Croatia over the next few years. So that is the first great national final track of the season. Forgive Me Oprosti by Mia Negovetić. I am not a music journalist, so I am going to be repeating myself a lot here with these songs. Moving on to Iceland. And again, I do have to say, this is my personal favourite of the selection. Song for Chagne finished on March the 12th. The winners were Sister, the three sisters. But the one I've gone with is the song that actually finished last in the final. Third with the juries, last with the public, last overall. 21,003 votes for Thalvanaf by Katla. Katla is only about 19 years of age, and I watched loads of interviews with her, the interviews that I could find online, and she's just so much fun, so down to earth, was really loving the whole experience. Great singer. I know that they've done theatre productions. They're going to be doing some TV work in the very near future in Iceland as well, and they've also been in one or two movies, one of which I've seen, which is great, called Heartstone. And this song, yeah, it's dramatic, and there's this sort of ominous sound to it. It builds up nicely. Katla in that sort of blue suit with the makeup. I know nothing about makeup, but she looked fantastic. Very sort of vampish, you know. And mirrors on stage as well, giving it a bit more of a mysterious feel. Really, really fantastic. Loved it from the first time I heard it. She kept it in Icelandic as well. The English language version's not too bad either, but the Icelandic version is slightly better. And this would have been a great, great choice for Iceland, but sadly, last in the final. My word, that does surprise me, but there we are. Hopefully, it will not be forgotten, and I wouldn't mind if Katla came back to try to represent Iceland again in the near future. I think she'd be an excellent representative. So there you go, Thalvanaf, and the music and lyrics there. It's worth saying that some of the co-writers of her song are big, big stars in Iceland, big sort of hip-hop stars. Johannes Damien Patrickson, Kristin Oli S. Haraldsson, Hafstein Thrawinsson, and Snorri Beck. They wrote that song. Moving on to Portugal. Now, here is a bit of an underrated gem. When I was going back through these songs, there were a lot of tracks that I really enjoyed, which is usually the way with Festival de Canção, but then this one popped out, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll pick that one. FDC finished on March the 12th as well, and I've gone with a song that finished last in the second semi-final. Music and lyrics here by the artists themselves and Scardini. It's Uma Mensagem Tua by Cubita. Red outfit, one person on the left, one person on the right pretending to play the guitar, or really playing the guitar, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, this song, it's again one of those really chilled out efforts that I am just appreciating more with every year that passes. A song like this is right up my street. It has a touch of the Tracy Chapman about it, you know, soulful, very pretty, ultra relaxing to listen to. The fact this finished last is quite criminal, quite frankly. Last with the juries, last with the televote, 2 points overall, 10th place. That's really quite shocking. I can absolutely understand why some people might find this sort of thing boring, but for me, like I said, right up my street. I can chill out listening to this for 3 minutes, and that is why it's made the cut. One of those songs that deserves a bit more love. I've seen barely anybody talk about it during Festival de Canção, and indeed afterwards. So, that is my pick from Portugal. Let's move on to Australia. Now, Australia are obviously in the second semi-final first half. Their national selection was on February the 26th. Sheldon Riley won it, but the song I've gone with is the song that finished fourth. 33 points from the juries, 30 points from the public, 63 points in total. It is a bit of a fan favourite before the Australian selection took place. Charley with I Suck at Being Lonely. Music and lyrics here are by Claire Howell, James Vincent, Thomas Walder Jordan, and Jonathan Dreyfus. This is very much in the mould of Victoria, Tears Getting Sober, Growing Up is Getting Old, that sort of thing. Sad pop. It's not even really a pop song, it's just a ballad. But it does have that sort of sadness to it. It's a very fragile sort of song. And you could see this when Charley performed it. You know, she's such a young woman, but she did a really fantastic job here in that sort of magnificent dress. I think she was on a sofa at one point. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But it starts off really, really simple, and it stays simple, but it builds up. The instrumentation starts to swell, and then she's just sort of pouring her heart out on stage, so honest, so raw, and she was clearly a little bit emotional as well when she sang this. And that's not a bad thing. You know, it shows that the song really is connecting with the performer. And I think this would have done well at Eurovision, absolutely. It would have stood out for its simplicity and the message. And it's one of those songs as well that you know if a major musician, an already successful major musician somewhere in the world, if they released this as a single, it would be a worldwide hit. I've no doubt in my mind about it. But sadly, Charley did not win. She finished 4th. So there we are. Moving on now to Finland. And the song I've gone for here, Over Hurricane. Over Thank God I'm an Atheist. I think you know which one I'm going to mention here. Uuden Musiikin Kilpailu was on February the 26th. The Rasmus won, but I have gone for the song that finished last with the public. It is Sun Numero by Younghearted, a group made up of 2 guys and a girl, I think it is. The girl doing the lead vocals. It's been a while since I listened to it, actually. But 40 points from the juries and 5.8% of the votes from the public. That's 51 from the public, 91 in total. And 6th place, sorry. This is, again, I'm repeating myself. I did warn you. But this is a very intimate, pared back song. The crowd with their lights. This builds up very nicely as well. Even though it's in Finnish, you can just sort of really appreciate it and sort of get the message of the song and what it's trying to achieve. It's very uplifting in a way, but there is also that tinge of sadness to proceedings as well. Really, really lovely stuff. And I think the emphasis at the time, you know, it was all the Rasmus, all Cyan Kicks, all Bess, blah, blah, blah. And then something a lot more stripped back. And I remember people saying at the time, in the comments of the video, oh, this is fine, but it's nowhere near as good as the others. It's not going to win, blah, blah, blah. But actually, in the build-up to UMK, a lot more people were getting on board with this. It was doing well on Spotify. Younghearted were gaining a lot more fans. I'm interested to see what they do next. A very fine track indeed. So we are 6-5 down. Yes, indeed. 5 to go. Next, Eesti Laul, which finished ages ago. And there were loads of songs in contention for Estonia because they introduced the quarter-final setup. February the 12th for the final. Stefan won. I should say, because I did mention I want to shout out the songwriters too. Sun Numero was written by Rita Huotarinen, Jonas Keronen and Vilma Alina Hladenmäki. But the song from Estonia, it's the runner-up, which came out of nowhere and surprised people. And I think a lot of people really do enjoy this song a lot more than they did at the time. It is Minimal Wind featuring Elizabeth Tiffany with What to Make of This. Won the jury vote in the final. Only just made the final. 8 points from the public, made the super final, and they were the runners-up with 17,587 votes. Not bad at all. Loads of 12 points from jury members too. This is a very low-key, jazzy sort of number. And we shouldn't have been shocked, really, that this finished second, because a couple of years ago, in Eesti Laul, a song not too dissimilar from this one called Ride About Me by Annette and Freddie, that was the runner-up. And it came out of nowhere. Nobody thought it was going to do that well. Finished second. Exactly the same ordeal here with What to Make of This. It really is a lovely, lovely track. I can sit and relax to this song. Absolutely, it is right up my street. I use that phrase again. Just because it's really slow doesn't mean it's a bad song. This is actually really quite cool and chilling and pleasant to listen to. And if we take a look here, Minimal Wind went through thanks to the jury from quarter-final 4. And then in the semi-finals, Minimal Wind and Elizabeth Tiffany came through the second chance round by a fairly narrow margin. And then in the final, boom, straight through up to second place. Out of nowhere, really. Nobody could have predicted this when all of the songs were released. It was an absolute dark horse. Had it won Eesti Laul, I wouldn't have been mad, because it's a really fine track. Just very, very simply executed. I think they themselves were very, very surprised that they did so well, but there we are. There is a place for this clearly in the Estonian selection year after year, because we've had at least 2 songs like it within the past couple of years, and it would be nice if other countries followed suit perhaps. This song was written by Paulu Pajusar, Taavi Hans Kular, Elizabeth Tiffany Lepik, and Ralph Erik Kolom. So there you go, that is my pick from Estonia. I do apologise if I'm rambling a lot here, but do bear with me. We've got a few more to go. Next up, Sweden. Now, Melfest. Of course, I've been making a lot of videos about the Swedish selection, which concluded on March the 12th. Cornelia Jacobs, yes, she came out on top. But the song I've gone with here is a song that received barely any attention at the time, finished last in its heat. It's Tribe Friday with Shut Me Up. This did manage to get over 1 million votes, which is impressive, but still finished last overall. If we take a look at the app voting, Tribe Friday were bottom with every age range, bar 16 to 29-year-olds, which I just about fit into. Fantastic. And I think the reason I've gone with this song is because it just reminds me of music I listened to growing up, you know, British indie bands of the mid-2000s. I think at the time I compared them to The View, the Fratellis, you know, maybe a touch of the Arctic Monkeys, the Vaccines, you know, bands in that sort of style. There's so many bands like it, even today. And I still listen to that sort of music every now and then. So I could really resonate with this. It was very fun, very playful, very tongue-in-cheek. They went for a sort of pink and black colour scheme, if I recall. It's been a couple of days since I actually saw the performance, and my memory is terrible. But the lead singer was wearing a sort of skirt, all-male group, very playful, like I said, you know, with the way they shot this and the camera effects and everything. Really great live vocals, a little bit more energy would have been nice, but it was still fantastic. And yeah, it's just really good, really, really good. And they sort of strike me as the sort of band that are a one and done with Melfest. You know, they enter once, we'll never see them again in the show. But if they come back, fantastic. They were nominated for Band of the Year last year at an award show, which is pretty impressive, but it didn't mean anything at Melfest because they were last in Heat 3. What a shame. And that's why, just because it's a sort of throwback sound, that is why I have opted for Shut Me Up by Tribe Friday as one of the 10 great national final songs of the season. 3 more to go. France next. And you've probably got a pretty good idea which one I'm going to go for here. It was the fan favourite. A lot of people wanted them to win. They ended up finishing in 3rd place. 60 points from the jury, second last, and 80 points from the public, third. 140 points in total. This is Seul by Soa. Music and lyrics by Ludi Soa and Nathan Soa. It's a brother-sister duo. And yeah, this was receiving a lot of buzz around the time the songs were released for the French selection, the final of which was on March the 5th. This is just really powerful, and it's in French with a line in English. And it's that chorus, you know, it's really, really the sort of thing that you'd play if you were fired up for something. It gets you in the mood, you know? And the harmonies are great, the live performance was fantastic, couple of dancers. It really all came together very well on the night. I thought this was really going to come out on top. I really did. I didn't think anything else was really going to challenge them. But then, of course, Alvin and Ajes came out on top instead, and Pauline Chagne was second. Wow, I'm rambling. But yeah, really, really terrific song, and would have been a great entry for France. Bit of rap. Rap doesn't always do too well, but here it didn't dominate the song, which is great. If it had been the whole song, pure rap, I'm not sure I would have enjoyed it much, because that's not really my cup of tea. But the fact that it was only one verse, pretty much, was completely fine. So that is another song making the cut of 10 great national final songs of the season. 2 more to go, and I should say that Tribe Friday's entry, Shut Me Up, was written by Isaac Gunnarsson, Robin Hamburger Perez, and Noah Deutschmann. So there you go. Moving on, Italy. Now, bit of a controversial opinion this, I know, but Brividi, as good as it is, I prefer the runner-up in Sanremo. I know. And I think at the time, really, Brividi was a shoo-in. Everybody knew it was probably going to win. Mahmoud had been at Eurovision before. People knew him. People love him. And it was very, very likely Brividi was going to come out on top. It is a great song. It might win in Turin. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's almost as if the other songs were brushed aside a little bit because there was so much attention on Mahmoud and Blanco. The runner-up is a great entry. It is O Forse Sei Tu by Elisa. Huge name. One of the biggest female singers of a generation in Italy, I think it's fair to say. February the 5th was the date in question. O Forse Sei Tu was written by Elisa Toffoli and Davide Petrella. Now, Elisa, I just said that she's a big star. She really is. She's 44. Look at this. Her albums, every single one has charted in the top 10, including one that she released earlier this year. She's had many successful singles. Absolutely fantastic. She's also done voiceover work for The Lion King. So there you go. But this song, it's very dreamlike. It starts off as though you're in the midst of a fairy tale. And it's very slow and very pretty. And then it builds up to the chorus. And you know that it's really ramping up to something. And then it's not a really explosive chorus, but it's much grander in scale. And it just feels so great. It's such a beautiful song. The only downside here is that maybe it drags on a bit. Obviously, had it gone to Eurovision, it would have been cut down to 3 minutes. But wow, it sounded great with the orchestra. A singer totally in control of the performance, sounding great, looking fantastic too. And the reason I've picked it is because it was my favourite from Sanremo, yes, but also because so much of the attention was on Mahmoud and Blanco. Elisa was right there and had a really great song as well. I'm not sure it would have been popular at Eurovision. If anything, I think people would have been very disappointed if she had won and decided to go to Turin. But this deserves a bit of love. Absolutely fantastic. I could have gone with Ciao Ciao, but that would have been maybe a bit more of an obvious choice because so many people love that song, and I love it too. But in the end, Elisa for me, fantastic, making the cut. That leaves one song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, one more song, Benidorm Fest in Spain for this. And it's the only solo male act of this top 10. Or, well, it's not even a top 10, but there we are. I have gone with Raiden, with Chagne de la Joreria. Oh, absolutely fantastic. This grew on me so much. David Martinez Alvarez, that is Raiden himself, and François Legovic wrote this one. Loved the staging. They sort of started off at the back of the stage, and then Raiden and his group of merry men moved forwards, and it just struck me as this sort of rowdy group on their way to the bar, having a party, you know, bringing the drinks, having a great time. That's what it struck me as. Great vocals, quite a deep voice, almost rapping, yes, throughout some of this song, but not a bad thing. Very catchy. Would have been fantastic at Eurovision. My goodness, this would have been brilliant. It really would have got the crowd going. Slow Mo will, but this song would have done as well. And yeah, it just, every time I heard the chorus, it was just getting stuck in my head every time. And I've heard it many, many times now, and it's still there. Every now and then, I'll just be thinking, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Really, really wonderful stuff. And this finished fourth in the end, 37 points from the expert juries, and 15 points from the demoscopic jury, 15 points from the public, 67 points overall, fourth place. Raiden. Would like to see him try again for Spain. Very successful singer, couple of albums, really lovely voice, and this was a very, very fine entry indeed. So there we are, massive ramble, repeated myself loads of times, but I'm glad this video is now out of the way because it took ages to plan. So, to recap, the 10 national final songs of the season, just 10 great tunes, you know, not my 10 favourites or anything like that. We have Forgive Me Oprosti by me and Negovetić for Croatia, Thalthanaf by Katla for Iceland, Uma Mensaggem Tua by Cubita for Portugal, I Suck at Being Lonely by Charley for Australia, Sun Numero by Younghearted for Finland, What to Make of This by Minimal Wind featuring Elizabeth Tiffany for Estonia, Shut Me Up by Tribe Friday for Sweden, Seul by Soa for France, O Forse Sei Tu by Elisa for Italy, and Chagne de la Joreria by Raiden for Spain. And of course, all of the other honourable mentions that I discussed at the start of this video too. There we are. Wow, finally I have filmed this. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment, share this video, like it, whatever it is, it's much appreciated. I really do appreciate all of the support. And obviously tomorrow the Azerbaijani entry is out. Tomorrow, as I'm recording this video you're watching now. So I'll be recording a reaction video, all being well. Then there's going to be a prediction for the semi-finals running orders. And then a prediction for the results, an early prediction for the results, which will probably be wildly inaccurate to what will actually happen in May. And there'll be blog posts and other things as and when too. Check out my other social media pages if you so wish, links in the description. Hopefully the quality wasn't too bad. Let me know your thoughts. Very interested to know what you think. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and apologies if this was yet another really big ramble. Take care. Bye for now. See you soon.